Just like Thursday, the boat in trouble. This time, Nomura was able to wriggle off the hook with 1:30 to go, and now they hold a favored position.
We're not going to have it. They call to each other.
Game here is to get up to full speed. Kayard makes his move first, and he'll be going faster when the gun goes off.
Go down below the line. 20. 17. 14. 13. 4, 3, 2, 1, gun.
Another clean start and another good job by Dellenbaugh.
Hello. Welcome to Gulf of Maine Sailing Services. Another midnight at the sail loft. Yeah, here we are. Bing. I see we've got Sabrina waiting backstage here. Let's see, we'll put Sabrina on here. Yeah, I like to.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing quite well, and yourself?
Well, I'm doing okay.
Getting
this crispy sail. A few modifications, optimizations, clarifications. Ready for action. Action on Massachusetts Bay. This coming weekend, beautiful Marblehead. Another city that vies for the title of sailing capital of the United States, along with, I don't know, Newport, Rhode Island, Annapolis, Maryland, San Diego, all sorts of places like to claim that title. Marblehead's pretty good. Marblehead's, well, it's near my hometown, so I have a soft spot for Marblehead. Very tony little suburb of Boston, about 7 miles, well, maybe 10 miles from downtown. Impossible to get to, as is everything in Massachusetts, or it seems like in the Boston area. So I'll show you what I'm doing here a little bit anyway. I am moving this used to be the attachment point of the sheets. Moving that up, bearing surface up 4 inches for better sheeting action. Now, what did I do with that? Yeah, there it is.
Answered the question I was about to ask. I was going to ask, okay, what's the utility of moving that? Oh, okay. There we go.
What's the utility of it?
Well, you kind of answered that question already.
I don't think I did, actually.
You said for better
doing it is to get a better sheeting angle. In other words, if you move the clew up, so you've got a line going, a line going, 2 lines going in through this hole. And if you move the clew higher, you get you're able to be pulling down on the trailing edge more than you're pulling back on the bottom edge, which changes the way the sail is shaped overall.
Okay.
So you can get the sail to be sheeted tighter into the center line of the boat, which lets you point the boat higher into the wind without losing the sail, without losing any force on the sail. It's just better, and this is sort of a kludge. You would think that I think people have figured this out at making the sails, but it's something that people discovered like last year. Like,
Okay.
a kind of a better with a better and a different setup seating arrangement on the boat. It's like, wow, if the clew were like 3.5, 4 inches higher, we get a better sheeting angle out of this thing. So suddenly it was, yeah, well, you got to do all this. Yeah, we got to move the clew, but what you don't want to do is cut off the foot of the sail, because that acts as an end plate. It goes on it sweeps the deck and keeps the wind in the slot between the bow of the boat and the mast. So it's all very tricky, but the class rules are such that you can't have two holes. You can't have two holes. At least the way I read the class rules, you can't have two holes in the aft corner of the sail. So what you got to do is bang out the ring that was in the corner of the sail, put another ring where you want the thing to work, and put a new ring in. And it's a pain in the ass, like a massive pain in the ass, like a tremendous, ridiculous pain in the ass. So, just so stupid.
I was going to ask, and you said that this discovery was a recent thing, like you said, just within the last year.
Yeah, this guy, well, he doesn't actually work for North Sales, but he's this lunatic in the Agil's class who's very, very good. And it's like, yeah, we tried this stuff, and everybody's always trying new stuff. And so it's like, Mandro goes, well, yeah, what you really want to do is this. And it's like, and I started thinking about it, and yeah, that makes sense. So we started doing it, and everybody else started doing it. Well, not everybody, but not everybody has access to a sail loft. That's one of the advantages that Andrew has in employing me. My foolishness. Yeah, well, so it's like I've done 6 sails. Fucking 6 sails. It's like, oh man. Yeah, okay, we'll do that.
I'm just thinking it's pretty remarkable, but you did explain a little bit why, but it's pretty remarkable that even as old a sport, or at least as old a profession as sailing is, that they're still discovering new things like this. But as you said, people are just experimenting all the time, trying different things all the time, and just finding what works. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I mean, sailing's an equipment-dependent sport, and you're always tweaking the equipment to try to get half a knot more out of the boat, and you're trying to get better performance out of the crew and all of that stuff. I mean, it's just you're always trying to find ways of getting just a tiny bit more of an advantage, because boats there's nothing like boat speed. There's absolutely nothing like boat speed to make to give you a better shot at winning a race. You just you can go just a little bit better than the person you're sailing next to, because you got basically a mile upwind to do that. To get past somebody with speed, you still have to go the right way. Because the way sailing works is you can be going at a rapid rate of speed in the wrong direction and wind up hosed. So it's not just boat speed, but boat speed makes up for an awful lot of shortcomings.
Does going in the wrong direction happen frequently, or at least like?
Oh yes, I'm afraid so.
I love how you said that.
Well, if I can find, I'd love to find that. There's a really good video by Peter Eisler that they did for America's Cup 92 that explains upwind stuff and how boats move. I mean, basically, too long didn't read. The too long didn't read portion is, I'll adjust the camera in just a sec. I just want to get this thing locked into the sewing machine so it doesn't go all over the fucking place. So a boat cannot sail directly into the wind. And the reason is because if the wind is from the bow of the boat and flowing over the sail plan, it's just blowing the sails. There's no way to get the sails to capture any of the force of the wind, because it's like a flag. Imagine a flag, basically. Okay, it's a flag. The flag doesn't do it. If a flag is not attached to anything except for the pole that it's on, it sits there and goes back and forth in the breeze in the direction, opposite the direction that the wind is coming from. So the same thing. I'll answer your question in a sec, Ox.
Oh, you saw it. Okay.
So the same thing works on a sailboat. If the boat is pointed directly into the wind, the sails are flags. They're just doing this. So you need to bear off in one direction or another, either on one tack or another, port tack or starboard tack. Port tack is when the wind is coming over the left-hand side of the boat. Starboard tack is when the wind is coming over the right-hand side of the boat. So you need to be going in one direction or another. And the thing about the wind is it very rarely stays coming steadily from one direction for a very long period of time. So if you, in a sailboat race, the organizing authority, the race committee, will set up, maybe I need to do a tapioca weasel thing here. Hold on a sec. Whiteboard. Dry erase markers.
Oh, I see what we're getting.
Let's I'll try to get this right.
What do you mean too many ropes, Ox? Ropes are great. But I might be talking about something a little bit different than what you're talking about. Oh, goodness. It's just me. Steph's internet exploded. Well, hopefully Steph gets back soon. Oh, I know, Ox. I'm just being a bit silly. Now I have to make some jokes while Stephanie's internet connection recovers. Yeah, I see that as much. It makes me glad I popped in. Otherwise, it would just be a dead screen. There we go. Steph's coming back.
Am I here?
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
Can you see me?
I can.
All right. So this is the way a sailboat race course is set up pretty much this way, right?
Okay.
Where you have a starting line, a windward mark up here. The wind is coming like this. And so the race committee will endeavor to set the course so that this mark is at 90 degrees to this line. So you're, in theory, from here, you would have to sail directly into the wind. You would have to sail directly into the wind to get to this mark. Now, as I say, hold on, I'm going to add some stuff here. So if that's the case, and the wind doesn't shift, right? The wind doesn't shift. If you start out here, if two boats start here, one boat goes here. They both start out here, assuming they're all going to go at the same rate of speed and the same angle to the wind. They're going to go like this, etc. They'll always meet in the same in.
Oh no. I lost video. I'm not sure if we're going to lose audio again. It must not like the Once again, it is just I know, right? I was really interested. I mean, it's not like we're not going to get a conclusion. Oh, that was much quicker reconnect.
Being obstreperous, my internet is being obstreperous. I don't understand. So anyway, so suppose these boats get, to a certain point, they'll meet at the top mark at the same time if the wind doesn't shift. Now, suppose the wind does this. Now the ladder rungs are parallel to the wind this way. So the wind goes to the right. you can't sail directly into the wind. So the boat over here, if you're on the right-hand side of the course, you will find that you will find yourself with a shorter distance to sail. You'll find you'll find you're able to sail like this. So you can sail from here to the mark rather than waiting until you get over here. Because if you're closer to the wind, you won't be able to go as fast. So that's the whole idea of shifts. And knowing where the next shift is coming from, predicting that, guessing that right, worrying about what the current's going to do to you, all of that stuff. So you can be going equally as fast as a boat on the favored tack, and you're not on the favored tack and lose a lot. I mean, and similarly, it's very difficult. I've done this. It's not easy. There are ways to get good at it. It's not easy to set a starting line that's perfectly square to the wind. So if the starting line is, say, this is called the pin end. This is the port end. This is starboard end. The pin end, also the pin end, the boat end. If the pin's up here, it's closer to the mark. So the pin's favored.
Okay.
So you're going to want to try to start up here. And depending on how favored it is, it can be as much as, like, right off the start, it can be as much as 2 or 3 boat lengths, depending
Oh,
on how
wow.
long the line is. Well, depending on how long the line is, because it's geometry. It's all triangles. It's all trig. And the same thing works. That's why you use hand bearing compasses, and you try to do the math in your head, and you try to do all that stuff that's going on. How do those people look, and all of this? And that's why if you're trying to match race, you don't want to be, if you're going against another boat that you need to beat for the regatta or something, or you're match racing or something like that, you don't want to be in a different piece of the part of the water than somebody else. I don't know, Ox, why this thing is winking out. The connection's good, but
It's good now.
pretty weird. Yeah. Anyway, to answer your question, how long have I been doing this stupid shit? Well, I've been racing sailboats since I was like 26, racing at this level anyway. I didn't really start sailing as a little kid. The first boat I ever sailed on was a sailfish at this summer camp. My great adventure was, it's back before there were helicopter parents and stuff. And this guy said, "Oh, you want to take a boat out? I've got one. Go ahead. This is how you rig it up." So I went, boat up. And it's like, all right, sailing lessons. What are those? I don't know. So I sailed downwind to the end of the lake, and then had to turn around and sail upwind. I must have flipped over a million times. It was funny. But I've been making sails since about the same time. I needed a job, went to work for a soundmaker, fell into the whole program. I found I enjoyed it. I really enjoy the puzzle aspects of both the sport and the craft. Is what you're trying to do is you're trying to make airfoils out of pieces of cloth, pieces of fabric, and you have to try to figure out how to make that work, as efficiently as possible. And you have to deal with stupid sewing machines. And you guys hear me okay? I don't know if my
Yeah.
earpods
We're
are
good.
okay. So yeah. And I just keep doing it because I guess I can't figure out how to do anything. I've done other things. I worked in an art gallery for a while after I had a stretch of time when mostly around transition. It's like people were freaking out. Like, what the fuck? And this conservative old white guy who was I know you've never heard of a conservative artist, but Tom was a very conservative artist.
Oh, I can
And
see that. I can definitely see that.
he, well, I need help in the gallery. Come up and do that. I was like, okay, that's fine. So, done that. Worked at um, a community sailing program for a while, sort of kind of thing. But yeah, I still really enjoy this stuff.
Hmm. Ox was
It's hot up
asking,
here.
oh, you ever use sail mending on carny/circus tents? We used to hire a guy out of Tampa
I've
to come
done that.
repair tents.
Yeah, I have. I have. I have. Yeah, I've done it. I've done it.
Okay, neat.
The carnivals in town or something, and it's like, yeah, we've got a rip here. Or it's probably the weirdest thing I ever. Well, done a number of weird things, but one weird thing was fixing a hot air balloon. That was like, did that a couple of times. Never working on the balloon itself because the FAA takes a doozy with that.
Hmm.
But fixing the what would often happen to this friend of mine who had a balloon company is the balloon would land and it'd tip over and the skirt at the bottom of the balloon would melt. The burner would be in the place. Fixing that would be a thing to do. And balloons are really interesting. Balloons are interesting. How they're built. I got to see how they're built. It's basically downwind sails like spinnakers, the ones that look like balloons,
Hmm.
are made out of essentially the same fabric. It's ripstop nylon. But what they do for hot air balloons is each one of those seams has a webbing reinforcement, and spinnakers and hot air balloons are very similar in some respects because they're basically spherical sections. It's like what's the global projection? You rip the globe apart into things. They're basically that a
Hmm.
spherical section
Okay.
that you put together, and out comes a sphere. All right, now it's time for the news. Ah! I did not get a balloon ride out of it. I did not. You know, I'm fine. Name of my friend's company was Hot Fun, which I thought was a good name for hot air balloon. Hot Fun in the summertime.
Usually when I hear hot fun, I'm usually thinking about something else.
Yeah, well, you've got, there you go with your, oh, shit. Shit. Where's there it is. I hate it when this happens, huh? Jeez. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Rings. Press rings. Stainless steel. Big teeth.
Ah, okay.
Need ring press. Mm-hmm. Yeah, get the entire effect here. Difficult. Yeah, all right. Good. Come here, everything. Everything. Shit. Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish there was a way to make
Make
my image a bit smaller, because obviously what you're doing on your screen is far more interesting than me just sitting here and watching you. People are watching me watch you. That's fine as is, though.
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't know if anybody's. Hey, tighten your anus. Tighten your anus.
It's pretty tight already, but
I can't do it the way President Sunday did.
no.
That's
Tighten your
unique.
anus or something like that. I don't think I got it either.
Something like that.
Oh yeah, so you were mentioning that you started sail making around the same time you started sailing as well. Uh,
Yeah.
For the sail making, did you have to like apprentice with someone, or how did learning that?
I went to work for a sailmaker. Yeah.
Okay, so you just learned it on the job then, kind of thing.
Pretty much.
Cool stuff.
And I started. It was the company made was an OEM, did a lot of OEM work, like in the late 70s, early 80s. There were a lot of boats being built, like a lot of O'Days, a lot of stuff. So there was a lot of original equipment manufacturing going on, and we cranked out sales at a ridiculous rate. Shite. You have to get a little more aggressive. So, you know, there was a cutting department and a sewing department, a handwork department, and all of this stuff. And so you weren't really learning everything, but the next sailmaker I went to work for didn't do a lot of original equipment manufacturing, but did do a lot of one design sale. Like this is a one design. This sale is an actual one class. A lot of those boats. So you know, the original people I worked with were not so performance oriented. The next people I worked for were very performance oriented. I mean, the guy that owned the company was a 4-time Lightning World Champion, a very respected name in the industry. Bill Shore, who was right up there. His wife Bonnie was who I worked directly for was Rolex Yachtswoman of the Year. Really, you know, really top-notch people. So I learned both the craft and the sport from people who were winning world championships.
Well, that's very
Very
good.
lucky.
Hmm.
Very, very lucky. Still to this day, I remember my first time sailing with Bill, and I was driving, checking out people to drive for the Marblehead to Halifax race, and I hadn't really driven much, and so we were just trying because it's a long race, and one person can't drive all the way there. I take the helm and trying to drive the boat in a straight line, 40-foot boat, and then really driven a boat much bigger than 24 feet. And I'm sitting there steering the thing, and Bill's going, look at the horizon, just look at the horizon, look at the horizon, look at the horizon. You got to anticipate the waves, you got to anticipate the waves, got to anticipate the waves. And you know, just going on and on and on and on. And it finally is going, you're doing a terrible job. So anytime I drive nowadays, I can always just sort of hear Bill. You're doing a terrible job. But boring.
Oh, is that the name of that process? Are you boring it right now?
No, it is boring.
Oh, I knew what you actually meant. Just I was just willfully disagreeing.
I have in the past. I mean, this thing is putting, what is it, 2,000, 3,200, oh no, I'm sorry, 4,000 pounds of pressure in this ring. and I have seen these pieces explode.
I'm sorry, explode?
Yeah, the bolt break and 4,000 pounds of pressure relief. Not exciting. Puts a hole in the ceiling. That's why I'm
Yeah.
leaning. That's why I'm leaning away from the whole program.
Yeah. Because you don't want 4,000
I don't
4,000
want
pounds
it
of
going
pressure in your
through my.
face.
I don't want a bolt in my brain. Yeah.
Yeah, we've already got one bolt, Volturian, on our brain. That's enough. So that was a stretch of a joke, but whatever. I tried.
Yeah, it's not good. Now, I will tell you that, given what you just saw, the installation ring,
Mm-hmm.
taking the ring out in case you want to take it out is not a very fun process. So that's the finished.
There we go. Nice stuff.
But again, this is stainless steel, and literally, it's 4,000 pounds. That's what it requires to set this ring. The largest ring, uh, eight 8,000, 8,100 pounds pressure to set the biggest ring. And these dies, you don't want to know how much they cost. Ridiculous.
I can imagine at least the thousands, probably more.
Well, yeah, $500 for this set.
Oh,
And you need to
okay.
have.
Yeah, I would imagine. Okay, that's within my
The
expectations then.
larger ones are the larger ones are. That's the way things go. All right, so here's that. I need to get. I need to put some webbing. Get the webbing on the. Sorry, I'm talking like a French Canadian. The webbing on these.
They don't quite speak with that kind of cadence, but okay.
One of the more interesting thing is that the word for jib in French. Are you familiar with that is?
What?
Jib being the front sail.
Okay.
The sail in the front of a sloop is known as a jib.
What's the French word for it then?
Foc.
Of course it is.
French. Foc. So if you're sailing with a French crew and people start screaming "foc," they're not saying "foc." They're saying "jib, idiot."
Oh gosh.
Foc. Yeah. Fuck
I was
you too.
thinking thinking to myself, I'm like, I should ask Jesse about that. Then I realized just because he lives in French Canada doesn't mean he's French. he's in the
Yeah,
Anglophone
there's
segment of Montreal.
Foc, Grande Voile. The main sails are Grande Voile. Sails are voile. Voile. Les voiles. That'll work. We do not want the ring to be pulling out of the corner of the sail. This is this webbing is Spectra, very, very strong for its weight. I kind of missed the corner here. That's all right. Fuck it. It's actually kind of a better look anyway. Shit. Did I fuck this up? I did. Yeah, there we go. Magnifique. Then I'm going to measure the luff curve of this thing to see if it's in the ballpark, because it's interesting the way you control the overall shape of the sails in a couple of ways. There's the internal shaping of the panels, and then there's the more gross adjustments have to do with the way the edge of the sail that attaches to either a stay or the mast is shaped. You try to match the curve that the thing's going to take when it's set flying. And of course, that changes dynamically too. So it's got to be adjustable in some manner or fashion. So you kind of set by tensioning the things that hold the mast up, the side shrouds and stuff. You can get different shapes for both the way the mast bends and the way the headstay sits. And for this sail, the way the headstay sits is the one that's going to matter, because the way the headstay is what this thing's attached to. This sail is a Doyle sail, and other sails in the inventory are North sails, and they might have different mast bends or luff curves, but it used to be a Doyle program, the boat did. Now it's a North program, and I did check the other sails, and the luff curves are very similar. People, with one design sails, people get to a consensus very quickly as to what the things ought to look like. This is not your typical atheist stream on the World Wide Web. For all of those who were expecting me to be cursing God, I'm not at the moment. I'm cursing sewing machines.
It doesn't have to be a quote unquote typical atheist stream, because just being ourselves is I don't know, I would say air quotes typical. It's like we're not unlike perhaps the theists, we're not out here necessarily screaming and telling people there is no God, there is not, like, no, we're just living our lives because we don't have a God to fixate on. Just doing normal stuff in a secular fashion is enough to be an atheist stream, I would say.
Not so much, not so much these days, but there's an awful lot of big regattas are usually over the course of a weekend, or at least include a weekend, because there's travel and stuff involved.
Mm-hmm.
But so Sundays are usually not free for sailors. Sailors will be doing other things on a Sunday. So.
Huh.
Although there's a J24 event called the Easter Regatta that's in Columbia, South Carolina, and it is literally on Easter,
Oh wow.
and they do a service at the Columbia, an Easter service at the Columbia Yacht Club. It's kind of funny, and the people show up, people go to it and stuff. But yeah, there's that. But anyway, this guy I used to sail with, the crazy sailing dentist, sailed up here in Maine. He's gone, God rest his soul, but he used to win all the time. He was a really, really good sailor. Sailed ensigns, and then he had this Pearson 30, then he had a Sabre 34. Really, really good sailor. I used to sail him quite a bit. I remember doing this regatta in Boothbay Harbor. And, his wife was German, and her relatives came up. I think it was Saturday night. They were gonna, you know, this there's Dell sailing this stupid regatta, and it's like, well, his wife Barbara is gone. Well, he's going to be sailing, but we can go up and enjoy Boothbay for Saturday night. So they show we get bring the boat in after sailing. We had a fairly good time and pretty well in the race that day. And tying up the dock there at the Cat and Fish Motel right there, the Cat and Fish Botel, I guess you'd say. They run them whale watching exhibitions out the Cat and Fish, and you know what? They have a little they have that breakfast place right there at the Cat and Fish Motel there, and Captain Fish, he's got a couple of them boats. He's got one of them, a couple of them whale watch boats still right out of Boothbay. They take them tourists out there and go around Squirrel Island, outside Squirrel, over to Damer's Cove, and go looking for them whales and all that shit. And why and course when those boats they take off, you know what them waitresses do up the Captain Fish. What's that? What do you call that thing? The cafe there. Well, when the boat's leaving, all the wait staff, they come out with a frisbee and with a big old smile on the back of the things, and they give them a great big moon with that frisbee. Just say bye to the tourists, and it's really kind of nice. But anyway, we're tying up to the Captain Fish. Dell greets his family, and I'm not sure. I don't believe he knew these particular relatives of his wife. But we get the boat secured, and he looks at him and welcomes him, and then he goes, "Do you know Jesus Christ?"
I think I've heard the name.
And I was somewhat taken aback because I'm sure he's from a Catholic heritage because his last name is French Catholic, but he comes right out with this smile on his face. Do you know Jesus Christ? He's looking at his family there, and I don't know how his family was taking it either, because they looked a little quizzical, and they just sort of look and go, huh? And yeah, yes, Jesus Christ is a very important member of this crew. You speak to
I
him
mean,
quite a bit.
I can understand that Jesus.
Whenever anything goes wrong, somebody will yell, "Jesus Christ! What happened there? Jesus Christ! Grab hold of that line! Jesus Christ!" Very active member of the team. And it's like, okay, no, I don't have to worry about being sacrilegious on this boat.
That,
Very
that's not what
important
I was
member of our
expecting.
crew.
Oh gosh, that's so much better than what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, well, I can imagine Jesus would be a very helpful member of the crew, being the only one who could walk on the water to go out and fix any problems on the outside.
Yeah, well,
That was
one
much
needs
better.
to rely on. Yeah, you need to rely on that guy. Anyway. Yeah,
Oh,
that cracked me up. I just couldn't believe it. It's like, oh, right, Dell.
oh man, that's amazing.
Very funny. Let's see. It's a good sea story involving Jesus Christ. Probably my favorite sea story was when the boat started to sink in the middle of the Caribbean. Couldn't figure out where the water was coming from. Where's the water coming from? I don't know. Let's figure it out. It was really stupid. I mean, where the answer to the question was like, oh my God, really? It really was stupid. Yeah, I don't want it to be like that. It'd suck. Somebody's gonna get pissed off. Somebody's gonna use that Jesus Christ thing in days like this. Yeah, it is true what people say about sailors. It doesn't. It's pretty universal. We cuss quite a bit.
Well, not only that, what I've heard, well,
Lot of
mind you, I've
cussing.
heard this from cartoons, is that you have more cuss words than the average Joe. It's a lot more fanciful and colorful cussing than what we normal folks got. That was from Bugs Bunny, so I'm taking that with a grain of salt, obviously.
Do cuss quite a bit.
So I'm like, 19 different cuss words. I thought they were only, and then someone else like, I thought there were only 12. He's like, not for a sailor. Some stupid skit I remember watching when I was like a kid in the 90s, which were reruns from the 60s. But whatever. I really like the old Bugs cartoons.
Yeah, they were good. Very wholesome.
Mm-hmm. Tons of great black comedy, especially with the Roadrunner side of things. Roadrunner and Wile E. That was.
Did you ever read that there was a great piece in the New Yorker? I can't remember exactly when, but it was a piece that somebody wrote that was a mock brief of a lawsuit Wile E. Coyote filed against the Acme Corporation.
Oh man, no, I have not seen that. That sounds amazing.
It's hysterically funny because Wile E. Coyote, of course, relied on the Acme Corporation for all of his bits to
And they
use
always failed on him.
to catch the Roadrunner, and they always were terrible. They didn't work. And yeah, it's a good bit.
I'd love to see like that
It is
animated into a cartoon, like a court case, and then like the defense is it's not a failure of the equipment, it's a failure in execution, or basically customers not using the stuff right, which would definitely in probably reasonably arguable for Wiley. It's almost always a hubris case for him.
Yeah, I think you could find it by Googling Coyote v Acme New Yorker. You probably find it, and it is available. I know it's still around, and it is really funny.
Yep, Coyote v. Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. So I searched it, and the first result, is an upcoming American comedy film.
Oh, good.
Let me see. Upcoming American comedy film directed by Dave Green, from a screenplay written by a story by Birch James Gunn. The film is based on the character Wile E. Coyote and the Acme Corporation from Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies series of cartoons, and the 1990 magazine article of the same name, originally published in the New Yorker by Ian Fraser. So they're making a movie out of it.
Your wish is coming true.
They're making a movie out of it. Holy crap. I'm so glad I looked this up.
Yeah. The things you discover on late night sailmaking with Stephanie. Coyote by the Acme. All right, look at that.
It was originally scheduled to be theatrically released in U.S. in July 21st, 2023. But they took it off the schedule of release with Barbie taking over. Okay, so it's been delayed so that it doesn't get overwhelmed by being playing at the same time as Barbie.
Cool.
So they're probably going to release it maybe later this year. Oh, I'm excited. I'm looking into it. I'm looking forward to that now.
I had no idea. Glad you looked it up because.
No, let me see.
But the article, the piece is just you'll laugh your ass off. It's really funny. There you go, Andrew. Another $250 out of your fucking wallet.
Yeah. Yeah, I see some people asking questions. Is this still happening? And I'm like, yeah, when I was looking at the wiki page, like they've already finished it. They're just waiting to release it.
That's cool. I'm going to take a slight. We'll probably do this. Check the left curve first thing in the morning. I need to sit down.
There we go. Wile E. Coyote versus Acme Company by Ian Fraser. There's what I'm looking for. Give us a read.
Very same. It's really good. Let's see.
Opening statement of Mr. Harold Schaff, attorney for Mr. Coyote. My client, Mr. Wile E. Coyote, a resident of Arizona and contiguous states, does hereby bring suit for damages against the Acme Company, manufacturer and retail distributor of assorted merchandise, incorporated in Delaware and doing business in every state, district, and territory. Mr. Coyote seeks compensation for personal injuries, loss of business income, and mental suffering caused by the direct result of the actions and or gross negligence of said company, under Title 15 of the United States Code, Chapter 47, Section 2072, subsection A, relating to product liability. I'm not going to continue, but I had to open it. Oh my God. Oh, I gotta
yeah,
read this. I
it's terrific. It really is. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a great piece. You know, I
oh
laughed
my
when I saw that come. I was like, "Holy shit!" This is. I started reading it and I couldn't stop laughing. It was just
oh
so good.
this is
Like, oh my
this is
god!
beautiful. This is absolutely gorgeous. I love it.
All right,
Okay, we're
gonna
gonna
go.
go.
Now
We've
We got double
Yeah.
audio though on you.
joined.
I know.
Wait a sec. Remove. There we go.
Perfect. I love that picture, by the way. I saw it earlier, but I love it.
Yeah, speaking of audio, I gotta switch shit up.
I don't know very many of the people there. Obviously yourself. I see GM Skeptic, Rudy B. Unfortunately, there's quite a few people I don't know by their face. Oh, is that Ben on the other side? Okay. Didn't recognize him at first. Hey, Skeptical Satanist.
I'm relocating and reconfiguring, and you missed all the sail making. Because I'm not doing any more of that. It's getting on, and I want to have a cocktail.
Entirely fair.
It's over. It's been a long day. Yeah. So it's Godless Granny and Gay Jesus and Kariah. I forget who's behind Ben and Nick. I'll make myself invisible. Nick and Ruby and me and Secular Rarity and Thomas Westbrook is sitting next to Godless Granny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was as far beside you.
Crazy people. I gotta reconfigure my earbuds now, and everything's all crazy. Jesus Christ, that's all nuts.
I love how obviously intentional. I mean, like, I know it was set up, but it's just like it's so beautiful.
And everything.
That is Gay Jesus in the center, right? I don't know what Gay Jesus looks like, so I'm not sure about that.
Shit. All right, try this. Please stay tuned as we. All right, now I think I can hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear. That's better. Yep. Yeah, that was pizza night at Better back in June 2022.
Jagazes.
Jagazes.
Oh, that's how it's said. I don't know. I've heard people talk about him, but I don't know.
Yeah, Jagazes was he was the life of the party, actually. It was pretty funny.
I mean, literal center of attention here, just like his.
Yeah. Well, there were 13 of us. You know, we're sitting there. We're sitting there at the Italian restaurant with just this perfect. It's like hey, wait a minute. There are 13 of us here, and we've got Jesus. Let's do this. So Thomas Westbrook gave the waitress the phone and said, take the picture.
I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised. The waitress probably loved it too. Because it's just funny. Just look at that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so now I can actually pay attention to what's going on here. I don't know what is going on here. Let's see. Yeah. Titan Uranus. Gigasus. Yep. What else is here? Skeptical Satanist is here. Fox is here. Wow. Oh, I don't know. I'm sweating. It's hot. It's hot in here. Time for a little.
So the Coyote versus Acme movie. It's gonna be live action, and John Cena's gonna play the main antagonist.
Really?
Yeah, main antagonist being like the head lawyer, in defense of Acme. And former boss to Wiley's lawyer. Oh, that seems great. On July 25th, it was confirmed the film has received a PG rating. Cool. Oh, so it's probably going to be like one of those kind of like Space Jam where it's live action, but with like the animated character of Wile and related transposed into real life. Buddha on a bicycle. When did I become the Lord Master of the community? Oh, lol. I don't know, Titan. Maybe something about tightening up that area makes it easier to keep the creative juices together. I don't know.
Oh, I've got this. Got it coming up.
Titan. One of the funniest arguments I've ever heard was between two stoned friends. Did Roman Ritter say beep beep or meep meep? The answer is meep meep, by the way. I could be controversial and make it even more annoying than that, but I won't. Yeah, for those of you who listen to this conversation, I highly recommend also looking up the Wile E. Coyote versus Acme thing from the New Yorker. It is like the little bit I've read so far. It's fucking hilarious. It
really is. It's
the first couple paragraphs, and I'm just like happy to hold back.
All right, so we need to get controversial now. Let's see. Shall we talk about Brianna Wood? Oh God!
We don't have to get controversial.
No, we don't. No, we actually don't.
I mean, we're already pretty controversial as it is. Two trans women on an atheist channel.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty. pretty controversial in its own right.
Mhm. Not really. It's like you're just ordinary people doing ordinary things,
Yeah.
ordinary making ordinary sales, talking about ordinary cartoon characters. Yeah, just all together ordinary.
Yeah.
Ordinary people.
All the more reason why it's good for us to be online and visible like this, just to show people like, hey, yeah, you know what? We're just like you. We have
Mhm.
normal everyday professions. Well, usually. We enjoy the same cartoons that you probably enjoyed growing up, and like laughing at stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. What am I trying to do? Oh yeah, I know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get rid of the Lord's Supper here. The atheist Lord's Supper. I really was.
That was
was
such
a
a
moment.
perfect opportunity. Titan says, I have great memories of hanging out. Went to a party once where I was the only one who hadn't dropped acid. Drank all night and they were coming down, and I couldn't believe I was still awake. Okay. Yeah, you were the only one who didn't drop acid.
I think I've frozen. Have I frozen?
Nope, not on my side.
Okay.
And I'm you're fine on the live stream as well.
That's crazy. I don't know what the hell's going on with my interwebs.
Like, it's fine. This is the hilarious thing. It's fine right now. It's fine right now, but I guess your whatever is telling you it's not fine.
Well, no, my window, my StreamYard window is frozen. It's live is stuck at 1 hour, 16 minutes, 1 second. There's nothing on the screen. I can't see anything going on. I might have to refresh and come back in the room.
Okay.
But in the meanwhile, yeah. Oh, I'm back. Look at that. Wow.
Yep. I guess it was enough to refresh the page for you.
No, it was. I don't know. Maybe it had something to do with OBS. I don't know. It's too many things. Too many things involved in this.
You've got it more figured out than me. I don't know. I am so behind. I haven't streamed in months now, and I really miss doing it. But I've been so tired, so tired. Like to the point that I'm talking with my doctor about this, like unusual tiredness, not just a case of like, oh, I'm sleepy. No. This is a medical problem that I am addressing.
May I ask you? Are you taking progesterone?
Nope.
Okay.
Should I? Like, what would that be a cause or a solution?
How do you like your? Well, it does wonders for your chest. Let's put it that way.
I've heard that. I've heard that from pretty much everyone.
It's true. It's true.
And I am aiming to eventually start progesterone. I've been talking with my endocrinologist about that. What we're doing is we're trying, before we do it, because the anti-androgen I'm using, cyproterone, has progestine properties. So we don't want to double up on that. So we're trying to find, or minimize the doubling up as much as possible. So we're basically trying to find the minimum viable dose of my cyproterone, and once we find that, then we'll add progesterone to it, to the regimen. So right now I'm like taking 1/4 tablet every other day of the cyproterone. So it's like I'm already quite low. I could probably, my doctor's like, yeah, assuming this is stable for everything else, we could start you on progesterone next if everything's good. But that'll be my next appointment, which I can't remember when my next appointment is. Where are my appointment cards?
Yeah, today was refill day.
Refill day. Yeah, I don't.
90 days.
Because the every other day. Sorry, because having it every other day is a pain in the ass. I've decided, screw it. I'm making blister cards for myself. To make it easier.
Sure.
And insofar as like I've got 5 different things in here now because I'm including like B vitamin because I don't get enough B or B vitamin, D vitamin, vitamin D, and then there's my ADHD medication, my estrogen, obviously, antidepressant, and that's it. Titty Skittles. I just noticed Titan's comment.
They are kind of, you know, they are kind of actually, you know.
Yeah.
Kinda, especially if you do them sublingually. The other way is, you know, different.
Oh, I know.
I did that for a while. I did that for a while. I figured sublingually would be fine, and it doesn't taste bad, so it's fine.
Wait, the progesterone sublingually? I didn't know that was available sublingually.
Well, it's not. It's not. It's you know, either way, you swallow it, and if you do it sublingually, then some of it's absorbed through the.
Okay, so like you'd break the capsule inside your mouth to absorb some.
No, you just let it melt. It is literally like titty Skittles.
Oh, okay. Oh, like
you just let you know, it's a gel. It's in a gel cap, right? So
yeah.
and it's liquid.
Oh,
it's in.
Oh, I see.
So it just
like, I was thinking
coats the underside of your tongue, and I'm not. It's not. You know. Well, clearly boofing. It's not a. You know, not indicated. It's not an indicated means of application, but you know,
it's a semi-indicated means of application, actually. Now, obviously, it's not intended. I understand this, but the ways like its actual indicated uses are orally and intravaginally. That is within indication. It is not like a secondary. It's within indication. So
I've done it both ways. So
yeah.
Being suitably equipped. So
yeah, I'm not yet equipped for that. I don't know if I will be. I still have.
Yeah, whatever.
At this point, I'm probably not going to bother. I don't need to.
That's fine.
I mean,
by the way, that whole discussion, by the way, is the focus of the latest Twitter controversy with Brianna Wu and all of that stuff.
Oh,
transmed bullshit. It's just it's going on, and President Sunday's gotten right in the middle of it, and you know, that's Brianna went after Damon Mama's partner, and just what the fuck? Why don't people just stop it? You know?
I don't get transmeds so much. Like I can understand but not accept people outside deciding to give their opinion. Like it's still bullshit, but deciding to give their opinion and having a transmed position. But transmeds who are themselves trans, I'm like, what the fuck? You're trans. You already know how hard this is. Why are you being hard on the rest of us? Fucking hell.
Well, yeah, but that's been a thing. I mean, that has been a thing, and a whole, you know, I think it was more of a thing for folks of my generation because of the bullshit we had to go through. I mean, the stuff we had to go through was ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. The whole, and it really depended on the people you saw. I was like super lucky. I self-medicated for a couple of years, and then broke into the system, like, and you know, it was. Yeah, we'll write those letters. When do you want them?
I'm already taking them, so now?
When do you want them? When do you want those letters? You know, it's like, wow, so when do you want them? Like, it was just so funny. Because it's like, you know, fuck you. I broke the rules. I did. I broke the rules.
That's fine. It makes sense. You were in a position where breaking the rules was more necessary. Uh, I didn't, but that's because I didn't have to. I mean,
Yeah,
heck, I didn't
that's
even
because
have
you
to.
didn't have to.
Yeah, I didn't have to. Uh, Now for me, mind you, obviously, and this is why people are observe. This is one of the reasons why people are observing more trans people coming out, is more people feel comfortable coming out. If I lived in a different
Correct.
time, I would not be out as trans. Absolutely not. No, I probably wouldn't even know. Like, not even be out. I probably wouldn't even know that I was trans. Uh,
Well,
Maybe. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, I didn't really get a particularly good idea of it, even though I learned about it for
I'm
indirectly.
sorry.
I did not get a good idea of it until I met folks like Stephanie.
I'm sorry. I'm here to apologize. I didn't mean it, but it's like when I first met
Oh,
you, it's like,
I know what you told me. I know what you told me. But I was clueless to it, and I was honestly, it wasn't until I met other people that I realized uh just how it
yeah,
was. Like, until that point, I just everything that I had everything that I had experienced, I guess because I didn't know anyone else who experienced it, like, oh, there's this one sort of joke that goes on. It's like the very cis male desire to want to be a woman kind of thing for a little bit. It's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, doesn't everyone just want to be a woman? Like, that just makes sense, right? Like, and then you start talking to people and are like, no, I'm the other one who feels this way. But I didn't talk to people about that kind of stuff. Except with my sister a little bit. Because like I just saw my sister first time in a few months. She just had some surgery to get. So she broke her leg like last year, and
mm,
now she just went in to like get like 10 screws and a plate removed from her leg. She like
oh, how nice.
completely broke her fibula. Not tibia is the big one. Fibula is the other one. Okay, yeah. Broke her fibula. Um, but yeah, so she's just only got one screw left in there because they're like, yeah, it's going to be more dangerous to try and extract it than it is to just leave it there. So they left that last screw there, but everything else she got removed.
So
Um,
my friend Katie, last winter had a very close encounter with a tree. The tree did not move, but the tree rearranged her leg in very drastic ways. She's been through like 4 surgeries and
oh,
a whole bunch of stuff, and she's got she's going in for so what's coming up will be her 4th surgery to take care of a broken ankle that she's been dealing with that they never caught. She's been walking, they didn't catch oh yeah, your ankle's busted too. It's like, oh yeah, oh well, I've been having some trouble, doc. It's like, well yeah, but yeah, we missed that part. It's like, oh shit. So now she's doing this, and she's I used to race against her dad. I mean, I am at this point in my life when I am literally racing against the children of the people that I used to race against back in the day. And our arch rival this season in J24s was um, this kid Finn, whose dad Parker was my arch rival back in the
oh my
70s or so. And and we won the season championship. And Finn and Parker's going, oh geez. I was like, that
she beat me then, and now she's still beating my
actually no.
progeny.
Parker was hard to beat, and Finn's hard to
Oh,
beat. It's yeah, Finn's hard to beat. Finn won last year. We won this year, and Katie, her dad Spencer, was another arch rival that. And it's just and she didn't sail this year at all, which is too bad. She's really good, just really good, really good. Of course, her
No, I love
boyfriend won't
hearing
let
this
her
guy's
drive, and she's a better driver than fucking. Put Katie on the stick. Jesus Christ. But Katie's like me. I mean, it's like, that even when I was never the driver. I didn't really start driving a lot until transitioned.
Okay.
Which was really strange. And that whole process was really strange because there were so many changes that people, the whole change in physicality and how you adapt to your approach to a sport, something physical, is really quite dramatic. That's why I find it interesting that for the folks that for the folks like my nemesis Stephen Woodford, who insist that you're a woman in every respect until it comes to sport. And it's like, at which point is you like, well, don't you realize what a difficult, how that's not helpful in the whole discourse?
Yeah, it's
Because of, over the course of my life, sports had figured it out. And it never was a big problem until people started being assholes about it, which started in it started ramping up in like 2019. Just so Woodford got involved and blew up shit and blew up shit at the ACA, and that kicked off a whole nother round of bullshit. Yeah, and Titan in the chat is right on. The whole point was to express that that the you wanted to be, and not to fit into some societally determined niche. And we won, and we did. And now these people are just basically being assholes. Speaking of trans medicalists, but it's the same basic idea. And I think earlier there was a really good point that Titan made. I think that they fear their binary gender take is necessary for their self-identity. It's baseless. And it's the same for, I think that essentially that's the same take as cis people who don't understand the whole idea of trans at all. I mean, if you buy into the whole binary entirely, you're going to wind up having similar attitudes. If I did this because the whole idea was to go from this
binary
middle point of a bimodal distribution, this middle point of a bimodal distribution to this middle point of a bimodal distribution, and ignore the fact that there is in fact a bimodal distribution, both in terms of sex and in terms of gender.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I made a note on my in my community page. Jesse Gender came up with a really terrific. I think I mentioned that before. I'm forgetting shit right now. Really terrific video on that subject. Really good.
I think I saw that. Yes, I did just. Yeah, that one just came up in my recommends earlier today as well.
Yeah, I watched it and I got the notification. And at the time I clicked on it, it had no views, and I viewed the thing. It's like, yeah, this is so cool. This is really good. She does such a good job.
There's so many good people out there. I quite like Jesse Gender's stuff.
Yeah. Great production values, great writing, great. She's got a good mind. I can only wish that I had the time, energy, etc. To put all of that shit together. And
no, you do release your own content though. Like, I mean, maybe not the same production quality that you're saying that she's got, but like you do have some stuff, and like honestly, I could see it picking up a big sword. I'm looking for a reasonable following. I guess it's not the word I was thinking of, but that's the best I can think of.
Well, I'm hoping to. I guess. I mean, it's fun. I enjoy it, and as long as I can keep it going. I mean, I love having folks like you come on here and just sit away and chit chat and talk about stuff.
I always love
fun stuff, shitty stuff, terrible stuff.
I'm not much for the scatological talk, but whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, stupid joke.
Scatological talk?
Here's a shitty talk.
Oh, I thought you were talking about eschatology or.
Oh no. Tapioca weasel. What's a clue? Something I don't have. I'm sorry.
What's a clue? Are you serious, Tappy? The link's up there. Did you see that? You can come in here and ask these questions. I will be happy to. I had the whiteboard out earlier. Let me see if I can find that fucking.
Yeah, we had a whiteboard. Come on.
Let me see if I can find something.
I do want to read Titan's recent comments. I had a friend from 11 years old whom I always knew was male. Began transition at 19, but at that time he had to commit to both breast removal and bottom surgery. He did not want bottom surgery for purely pragmatic. He had to what? I mean, like, it makes perfect sense that you would not want it for pragmatic reasons. Like, that's the reason I know, like, quite a few trans men I know don't go for bottom surgery because it's honestly not very well developed right now. The state-of-the-art surgeries had indifferent outcomes at the best. Okay, yeah, pretty much the next comment said exactly that. He asked me what he should do, and I told him to lie. And that we'd get the law changed before it was a problem.
Ladder rungs. I gotta see if I can find this. Something short. I know.
You don't have to apologize, Tapioca. But if you want to hop in and say hi,
yeah,
scroll to the top. The link's there. It should be. I think you got it pinned at the top. I mean, I scrolled back up and checked, and it's still there.
There we go. Here we go.
Huh? Nice. We got that law changed in only 3 years. That's really cool, Titan. Thank you. I say thank you because, like, thank you for doing something for another member of our community.
All right. So, Dr. Tapioca Weasel, if you'd like to come in, please do. But if you don't, I will tell you what a clue is. I will explain the parts of a sail, of a triangular sail. on a modern sloop rig boat. I never pinned it because I was on my iPad and I don't have my I don't have the YouTube thing open, and I'm now enjoying a cocktail and I haven't done that yet. Anyway, a typical sloop rig boat has a sail has three sides, right? It has a leading edge, a trailing edge, and the bottom edge. The leading edge is known as the luff. The trailing edge is known as the leech. And the bottom edge is known as the foot. The top corner is known as the head. The lower forward corner is known as the tack. And the lower aft corner is known as the clew. CLEW. So TACK, because it's tacked to the deck. It's tacked to the deck. The clew is where you attach the sheets, is where you attach the ropes that lead to either side of the boat. I mean, you might say, well, why isn't the aft edge called the tack? Because when you tack, the clew goes from one side of the boat to the other. Well, then fuck that. It's because it's tacked down. Fuck you. It's what it is. It is what it is. Dr. Tapioca Weasel?
Hello.
You catching all of this?
Yeah. Hold on. Wait, I have this open in two things. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry. I have this open in two tabs, and then I also have the YouTube open. And okay,
Jesus Christ.
I'm. You know what? I'm a physicist, not an audio engineer.
Damn it, Jim! I'm a doctor, not a mason.
Exactly.
Yeah. So did you get that? You've got the luff, leech, and foot, and you've got the head, tack, and clew.
I literally didn't get any of that. I was trying to set up like my audio and the thing to like get into the stream, so I didn't.
I'm gonna have to go get my whiteboard.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. I was gonna say also,
I'm gonna have to go get my fucking whiteboard.
It's it's a burden that the best of us have to deal with.
Yeah. All right, hang on, stand by. And I found a video explaining ladder rungs, which is really key for all y'all.
Man, if you were other people, I would think she was serious about being angry at me there. How you doing, Sabrina?
I'm doing quite well. How about yourself, Tapioca?
I'm doing all right.
Christ, give me a break.
Just
Bluetooth
hanging out
worked.
on Monday evening.
I see you're the doctor of anti-maximum contracted sphincters. So does that mean you're intimately familiar with Titan?
I mean, he is the bane of my existence. Is the way
Titan, Titan and Tappy have it. Titan and Tappy have a thing going on. I don't know what the fuck the story is.
It's a lot. There's a lot of sexual tension.
Is that what it is?
God. Well, I mean, if it wasn't before, it certainly is now. Now that I said it out loud.
Oh my God. This is
I get that. These are the kinds of things I would not notice if people didn't explicitly tell me. Like, I've mentioned a couple times that I have a partner, and until I had basically outright confessed that I liked him, I had no idea that he'd been flirting with me for years.
Yeah,
and I still didn't find out until our mutual friends were like, "Yeah, Sabrina, he's been flirting with you for ages." I'm like, "What? What?
Yeah,
it's me."
it's totally a thing that, yeah, no, and to clarify, as far as I know, there isn't actual any sexual tension between me and Titan. I mean, there might be now that I like brought it up, but I was, I was going for a gag, which has its own sort of sexual connotations. I suppose.
Well,
I'm sorry,
I was just
getting
gonna-
demonetized.
If you're going for a gag, I mean, gagging can certainly happen in certain circles.
But no, Titan likes to troll me because he likes to ask me questions about magnetism, and I'm not about that life because magnetism is a fake force that doesn't really exist, and also sphincters should remain loose and just be hanging out. So I'm very anti-Titan. Yeah, you see, and there he is in chat, being like, he just teases me about magnetism. It's not harassment and stalking Titan, which is what I'm convinced you do, because you're everywhere.
Titan was here before you tonight, though.
Well, yeah, but he has predictive AI technology that helps him figure out where everybody's going to be, and also. He's a cyclic time lord being, right? Like he is his own grandfather, and it goes in a cycle that reinforces itself exponentially after every single Planck time.
I don't know much about Planck. This the guy said some neat stuff. Max Planck, I think, said some neat stuff. I'm sorry, I'm being very obtuse at the moment intentionally. So
he did say some neat stuff. He is sometimes credited as being like the father of quantum mechanics, but if I had to give one person that role, I think I'd probably give it to Bohr.
Okay.
But Planck's law is a sort of very, very, and this is something that has not changed the more I've learned about physics. It is still identified as being sort of the first time very clearly that a definitively quantum principle was put forward in some very clear, unambiguous form. He was not thinking about it being a quantization properly in actuality of like the photon energy field, or like, which is kind of what makes a photon. That was Einstein. That's what he won the Nobel Prize for, was basically being like, hey, there's this specific effect, and it is perfectly quantitatively absolutely compatible if energy comes in these little packets, which, by the way, is also what Planck said without saying it in his derivation of the black body radiation law. And that was in 1900, I believe, was when Planck published that. Yeah, I know, Titan. I know that I'm, following you. Because I'm your third child.
All right. Here's a boat.
You got to make it big. You gotta.
Yeah, put a soft focus if you can.
Yeah, you got to make us small and you big. I mean, I've just got my avatar up because. There we go. Okay, we got a mast, we got a backstag, we got a head stag, we got a boom, a mainsail, a head sail, the head. Which is the head just the top of the mast, or is the head specifically
the head? These are the parts of the sail. I forgot to put in other parts of the sail because you specifically asked me about the parts of the sail, and I wanted to go whole hog.
Yeah, I mean, you did well. A picture is worth 1,000 words, right? Like,
So what I included was the rig. I mean, what you've got in order to keep this whole thing up, it's like a telephone pole. You've got the mast. It's got to be stayed. It's got to be stable on the boat, otherwise it comes crashing down. So you've got a head stay, holding it forward. I mean, a back stay attaching to the back of the boat, and then you've got I'm sorry. I said these are shrouds. Actually, Jesus, the spreader. I gotta fuck this up. I fucked it up. Fucked it up.
Story of my life. Story of my life, Steph. I mean, yeah. Most of the time, I don't notice though. And then somebody is like, "Hey, you did this thing wrong," and I'm like, "No, I didn't." And then I look closely, and I'm like, "You know what? It would be too much of a blow to my ego to acknowledge this, so I'm going to move to another state."
So you've got a couple of wires. If you think of it as a telephone pole, you've got this stick in the middle of the boat, right? And if you look at a telephone pole, how does a telephone pole stay up if it's particularly tall? It's got wires on the side, right, to keep it in column and to keep it from falling over.
Yeah.
Well, a boat has right, and a boat has these. They're called shrouds. Even on telephone pole, I think they're called shrouds or side stays.
Because unlike a telephone pole, they can't just go way deeper into the ground, which is what you could normally do with a telephone pole. Also,
they don't go deep into the ground. And on some boats, the mast is stepped on the deck, and some boats the mast goes through the deck and is stepped on a beam. That's right above the keel. But anyway, you need some way of keeping the frickin' thing up in the air. And since, unlike telephone pole, you don't have unlimited real estate to do that, you have usually you usually have one set of spreaders which hold the wires out a wee bit from the center line of the boat, so that you can go you wind up having a diagonal to the spreaders and then straight down to the deck. And there's a strong point on the deck that is attached to a bulkhead below that's part of the structural bit of the boat, so that any stress that is being experienced is going to be anchored there. That's how a mast stays up. So the shrouds and the spreaders are the key elements for keeping the mast up. The head stay and the back stay, not so much. I mean, what really keeps the mast up in the air are the shrouds and the spreaders. But if you don't have a head stay or you don't have a back stay, then if you're going upwind and the head stay is loaded up, the thing could fall backwards. And if you're going downwind and the back stays not preventing the mast from going forward, it could go over the top of the boat. It's like, so but they're not as critical, really. But if you lose a shroud, the mast is coming down. It just is. That's the way it works. Anyway, the part of a sail. The parts of a sail, and I've marked them on the head sail, but I didn't mark them on the mainsail, but the terminology is the same.
Yeah.
The forward edge, the leading edge of a sail, is called the luff. The trailing edge of a sail is called the leech, and the bottom of a sail is called the foot. The forward corner, the top corner of a sail is called the head. The forward lower corner is called the tack. And the aft lower corner is called the clew. And the clew is where the sheets attach. There's a strong point back here that this is a fixed point. The tack is fixed. And
is it actually curved like that, or is that just how you drew it?
The foot of the sail?
Yeah.
Well, the foot of the mainsail isn't, because it's usually attached to the boom.
Well, the other one is.
The foot of a head sail. The foot of a head sail is usually loose, because there's usually not a boom up there. There's usually no control, and it usually is curved. I exaggerated how high the clew is. That in the geometry of it all, what you really want to have in the geometry of it all. What you'd want to have the sheet to be in line with a line going from about the middle of the luff through the clew to some fixed point on the deck. That'll usually let the thing sheet well. But usually it's a little bit higher. There's a whole bunch of it's a whole bunch of considerations. And that's why raising the clew, which is the operation I did this evening, that's what that does. It basically puts it more in line with a good sheeting, a good trim line between where the sheet is aimed at on the headstay, on the luff of the sail. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of geometry involved in this, and there's a lot of shit involved in this. There's a lot of measurement of strain and stress and
how it catches the air and sculpts it, because the shape of the sail is gonna, and how it billows out and everything. Oh, like, are these elastic at all, or are they fairly inelastic? Like, you don't have to worry about the actual sail. Like, do they stretch and become larger with large loads? You
want as little stretch as possible.
I would say
little stretch as possible. Because stretch is wasted energy.
Yeah.
If the wind is going into stretching the cloth, that's heat. It turns the stuff into heat. It doesn't turn the stuff into. It doesn't turn wind energy into the kind of kinetic energy that's going to move the boat.
Yeah, it turns it into some kind of elastic potential energy in the best case. A lot of that does, become heat eventually, but you're in a race. You need it to be kinetic energy all the time. Whenever
you want it to be kinetic energy, you want it to be kinetic energy, and you also want it to be you want the fabric. The ideal sail is something that does not stretch at all. That's why people use carbon fiber in building sails. That's why it's gone from Dacron. It's gone from cotton to Dacron to polyester with a mylar laminate to cut down on bias stretch, because any woven fabric is going to stretch on the bias.
Well,
right?
I don't know what that means.
The bias is all right. So this shirt has I suspect this is the warp, and this is the
You're adding
fill.
more words.
Well, the warp. Think of a loom. Do you know how a loom works? You've got a loom.
Is it like the rank and file of a chessboard, but of threads? It's vertical.
You got a loom, right? You got a loom. You got threads. that are strung out along the vertical axis of the loom, and then you have threads that go over and under and over and under and over and under and over and under and over and under, and then you pull the shuttle back, and you put that thing in. You lock that fill thread, which is the thread that's going across rather than the ones that's strung out. You pull the shuttle back, and it packs that thread, and then you repeat the process. It's how a loom works.
Yes.
That's why they go. Well, where there are no threads, there are no threads going this way. There are no threads going diagonally. So if this is the warp and this is the fill,
which one is warp and which one is fill? Is warp the one? Is warp the shuttle that goes back and forth, or is it?
That's fill.
That's fill. Okay.
That's fill.
Great, thank you.
That's Phil. Hang on a sec. I've got.
Sounds like a nice guy.
I think I can actually make this
Hey, Brie.
more abundantly clear.
How sails work, like and the parts of the sail. And
fabric too.
And then fabric too. Well, I was getting there. I'm answering people's questions in chat. I don't know if you can see it because you're off.
Hey, well, yeah, we got a bunch of people pop in. We got Perp, we got Bree, we got Maya.
I thought Purple was already here.
We're getting the clue about what's a clue.
I'm trying to find.
That is an accurate description of this. The clue's already been fixed. Now we're just learning about it. I'm muting myself periodically because I'm pretty sure my air conditioner is coming through on my mic.
It's not remotely, not as far as I can tell.
Oh wow, really? It's loud as fuck here.
As far as I'm not getting it even a little bit. I don't know if the audience is.
Well, you'd get it if the audience was getting it. It's probably just like maybe the noise cancellation is probably pretty good then. Actually, yeah. This microphone has been pretty damn solid at that.
I'm trying to see if that even shows up. It doesn't really.
It's sort of like it's like an egg with like a yolk in the center.
Yeah, well, it's got. Yeah, I'm just not sure. This is the label of what this fabric is. It's OC Optimum Cruise or whatever the fuck it is.
It anyway, looks like a white oval. Yeah,
I think. Yeah, that shows it a little bit better. There we go. All right, so you see the thick. Yeah. You see the thick threads? You see going this way. Yeah. Going this way. The size of the threads are larger than the size of the threads going this way.
It's right at the limit of what the camera is sort of like doing in terms of focus, and aliasing is the problem. But yes, it is clear that the things going horizontally are bigger than the things going vertically.
Right. Well, in this particular fabric has thicker threads on the warp, which is this way. So if you're looking at the loom, it looks like this, right? These are the warp threads, and the thinner threads are the fill threads. And there are no threads going this way. So if I hope this will work. This is a lighter fabric. And this is the fill, the stronger threads on the fill, weaker threads on the warp, and I'm pulling against them. So stronger here, you can't really see the distortion.
I see distortion. I see some distortion.
Weaker here. I mean, there's more of a distortion here.
It's a similar amount of distortion, but fractionally it's much bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. But where's the huge distortion? There. If I pull diagonally.
Orient it again. It's a little bit, just do it the other way now. And distort it the other way. Like No, but the other diagonal way. It probably like switches between it, right?
Well, this either
Yeah.
way, it's across the bias. This is the bias. There are no threads there. There's nothing to take up the.
Yeah, but
There's
it
nothing to
normally-
take up the stuff.
I would expect it to like contract along the other axis when you do that, you know, because that's how fabrics. I don't know how fabrics work. I don't know what I'm talking. I'm sorry.
Maybe what I need is some fucking cotton.
Well,
Which
I
I
mean-
happen to have. I have a piece of cotton here. This will probably do it.
the family business did used to be cotton, but I don't like to talk about that.
All right. So we've got this sheet. And I'm trying to see what the thread count is. It's probably a balanced weave. This is probably a pretty balanced weave. So they're not going to be. So here's thread line stretch there. That's thread line stretch. That's going on a thread line.
Yep.
And this is going on a thread line. Oh, this has got to be fill. That's fill.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Because there's way less distortion. That's off thread line.
Yeah,
And
that's
as
like
you can see,
way more.
yeah, that's off thread line, right?
It's like 10 times more, at least.
It's way more because there's no fucking fiber there. There's nothing to support it. There's no strength.
Yeah, I mean,
Now in a
way,
sail,
if you didn't have like the finite thickness of the threads, you'd lose by a factor of root 2 because it would all just stretch out. You
Right.
know.
now in a sail, bias stretch is killer because you've got a triangular piece of cloth, and in my little thing here, where's the load? All right, this corner and this corner, they're attached, they're fixed.
Yeah.
This corner is not. This corner is the corner that is holding the sail into the center line of the boat. So as you pull the sail in to catch the wind, and the wind is coming, let's say it's coming from this side and over here, and the sheet is here, and this is being sheeted, this is being held in, right? So that the sail is not going to go flying out, right? You're going to have all kinds of load from the head to the clew,
Yeah.
right? And suppose you've got fuck all. Suppose you actually had a fucking marker. So suppose you have a strong, suppose you have panels here where the fill threads of this fabric are stronger than the warp threads.
Yeah.
Right. So you're taking into account that the big load is going to be down the leach here, but there's also going to be load that goes this way.
Yeah.
What's that doing? It's going across the fucking bias. So you're going to get wrinkles. You're going to get that's where the wrinkles are going to. You're going to get wrinkles there. And what you're trying to achieve with a sail and building a sail is an airfoil. And you don't want wrinkles anywhere.
Well, okay, I did not realize before just now the importance of the wrinkles in the whole thing.
Yeah, you don't want when you look out the window when you're flying from California to Manchester, New Hampshire, you don't want to look out the fucking window and see the wing going like this, having mountains in the middle of the fucking wing. You don't want to see that because that's kind of like, what the hell is this all about? The air's gonna get. You're gonna get to you're gonna get turbulence that way. You don't want to have that.
Yeah, no, I totally
just
get you.
don't. It's bad.
No, you absolutely don't, and it's at the higher speed you get to, also like the more of a game changer it is, and when it really matters, like when every little bit matters, which it never does more than in a race, right? It's a whole thing. Because I look out, I've definitely looked out on wings of planes, and I've been like, you know what? There are a lot of fasteners here that don't look totally flush with the rest of the thing, and I'm like, that's a little bit weird.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to induce a great deal of drag, and that's what rims do. You don't, and it really, as you said, at low speed, it's even more important. So you just want to be creating something as smooth as possible.
Yeah, no, the vortices I think at low speed are way more important than they are at higher speed. Right?
Yeah.
Because
it's physics.
You're not running it. Well, it's physics that I don't know, because guess what? Like, fluid dynamics is like the black arts of classical physics.
It really is.
Yeah, no, it totally is. It's like the black arts of classical physics, because there are so many open questions in classical, like regular vanilla fluid dynamics. There are so many. The Navier-Stokes equations are. I never took a class on them, so I actually couldn't even like write them down. I could probably write down something close to them just by guessing them. They are.
I'm not. Yeah,
they are
I'm not really
vector calculus differential equations that relate the flow of incompressible fluids, which is already a degree of freedom that it matters sometimes, and we just don't know solutions to these equations. We can solve them numerically.
I am not at all. I'm not into. I'm into it, but in terms of curiosity. But I'm no expert in computational fluid dynamics. I know some people who are, but it's more the materials that matter to me as someone who builds these things. And so what you're trying to do with sailcloth is to minimize the amount of either bias stretch, off threadline stretch, or come up with a way of orienting the strong fibers in the direction of the stresses in a sail. And so if you're building something with conventional fabric, with no offline, like a woven Dacron fabric, which usually has stronger fill threads than warp threads, what you want to have is some sort of a finish that minimizes the amount of bias stretch, which is why sail fabric is so stiff. It's ridiculously stiff. It's got urethane finishes that make it really, really stiff. And sometimes it's stiff because of both the yarns being coated with a urethane finish and because of the entire fabric being coated with a urethane finish. And it's really crispy and really really crinkly, and you baby it so that it doesn't split apart.
It doesn't impose like a minimum bend radius, though. It's more like foil. It turns it more like into foil as opposed to into like cloth. like aluminum foil?
Yeah, it's sort of, kind of, but there's still enough. It's not foil
not
to the extent
not
that the
that
wind is not going to fill it and
yeah, of
cause
course.
like it's going to conform to a shape. Another
But-
way is to use a laminate where you use something like a polyester film like Mylar and laminate it to an underlying substrate with threads that sometimes are woven and sometimes are not. Right? When there's no weave, if you put strong fibers in the direction that the stress is gonna be in, you can cut up the sail so that you wind up with a radial pattern of the sail radiating out of the clew and radiating out of the tack, radiating out of the head, and keep all of those strong threads in the direction of stress, and by which, if you map out the stress in the sail properly and orient the panels properly, you will have a very smooth, you'll have the stresses being taken up by the strong threads in every direction. So that was another, when I started sailmaking, these things didn't exist. I mean, people wanted to get rid of bias stretch. So what did the first thing they do? It's like, oh, well, we'll build a fairly balanced weave and we'll just laminate it. And that'll get rid of the bias stretch, and then we'll all be good. And then we started building shit with these things, and you get distortion all over the place because you're not accounting for the differences in stress, right? Because you wind up having differences in stress anyway, because they're going to be there. Then we started playing around with stuff, and it's like, oh well, let's try this, let's try that, let's try the other thing. So now we're in a position where we're building. The fabric technology has tried to address the problem in different ways of either putting more fiber in or stronger fiber in. And the biggest the other piece of the equation is you do not wish to have more fiber is more weight. More weight up in the air means you're tipping the boat over more when the wind blows. And when you're tipping the boat over more, you're losing energy that way too. Because the more the boat tips over, the less the keel works. The keel wants to be in the water. The keel's the thing that's stopping the boat from going sideways. Right? The underwater surface is what's stopping the boat from just turning around and going downwind. The more the boat tips over, the more the boat just simply wants to turn around and go home. It's like a horse that's got a yen for the barn. So you want to have the material to be as light as possible and as strong as possible. And you want to build the sail to have it be as distortion free as possible. That's the art. That's the fun part. That is the fun part. And so, materials technology has changed so drastically over the course of the past 40 years. And so construction techniques, and so have a whole bunch of other stuff. But the underlying elements of what makes a boat go fast are the same as they ever were. But
you're just better at them.
More and more about it. Yeah, you're just better at them. It's how technology works. It's how science works. It's how all of this shit works.
What about the wax or the coating that you apply to the actual other surfaces of the boat? Do you do that to minimize friction, or do you need to increase it in certain parts or something? Because I can imagine that there might be certain coatings which are slightly produce less drag or something.
Are you talking about hulls?
Hulls, yeah. In the water.
Well, for a while there, there was a time when and actually this sort of got into people were wearing sharkskin swimsuits for a while. I mean that technology
Yeah.
developed,
I was
right?
totally thinking about that. Yeah.
And
they got banned.
yeah, there was a time when sharkskin coatings were being considered or trialed on hulls, and they just never panned out. They wound up being expensive. So really, what you do, really what people do is just wax is not the best, just because it tends to ripple up. There are other kinds of coatings that are not. I don't think like sail coat is silicone based, but it's got some silicone in it. There are different preparations that you can put on there. Teflon's in there. Yeah, that's a thing. There's Teflon in liquid form that's applied. But it's mostly you'll sand a hull to particularly a keel. You'll sand the leading edge of a keel. You'll sand to 800, 1,000, 1,200, something like that. Just get it as good as possible. The trailing edge is not quite as big a deal because you want to establish laminar flow.
Yeah.
You want to establish laminar flow, and the hardest place to do it is the leading edge of something, and after that, it's not that big a deal.
Well, what about air current? So with the sail, obviously the same principle would apply, but I can imagine for like suits and like the the gear, the clothing that the people on the sailors are wearing, I can imagine an argument in favor of like what they do with golf
sail
balls,
naked.
right?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I've seen photos. You don't.
I used to work for a company called Hard Sails, and we used to have T-shirts that said "Sail with the Heart" on.
But do you see what I'm saying about the golf ball thing?
Yeah,
golf balls I'm talking about different other parts, like maybe like the mast itself, like could benefit it at least at low, or the gear that people are wearing, because they're not. Sometimes you're gonna have turbulence, so you kind of want to diffuse it as much as it is, so it's a very predictable smaller amount, which is kind of what they do with the golf ball dimples.
Yeah, but it's not that, the speeds involved. I mean, you're basically all right. So you're the boats I sail commonly are going 6 knots or so. That's it's walking speed.
You're right.
So it's not, it's not that critical. It just isn't. If you look at foiling multi-hulls or foiling monohulls, if you look at like the most recent generation of America's Cup boats, which are these days foiling monohulls, which is nice. It's way more Formula One. It's really the aerodynamics of the designers are really paying attention to aerodynamics and trying to keep any turbulence at deck level to a minimum. So people are wearing helmets and auto racing stuff, because those things are going 50 knots. They're going fast, because they're not in the water anymore. They're out of the water. They're entirely.
Yeah, but
they're hydrofoiling.
In sailing, I can also totally imagine that weight is way more of a constraint than it is in auto racing, because your weight differential isn't the main. Yeah, I don't know.
You want everything to be as light as possible and as strong as possible. And people are pushing those envelopes, which is why at the extreme ends of the sport, you have so many breakdowns because people like, oh, I thought it was going to work, but it didn't, you know?
Yep.
I mean, I was involved at one stage of my career in Formula 40 catamarans. Well, it was a Formula 40 rule, and you could have a trimaran, but the trimarans.
What does that mean? What does Formula whatever mean?
It was a box rule. So the boat had to meet these criteria, and within those criteria, you could design anywhere you want. And turns out the catamarans were.
Is that the definition
catamarans
of a
were quicker?
Because I just learned that. I never heard that term before.
Yeah. A box rule is like the 12-meter rule was like, here's a set of equations. And it was sail area to displacement, length overall, all of these considerations of naval architecture all had to add up to a certain number. In the case of the America's Cup class, which is no longer, those boats are no longer used in the America's Cup, but the rule was developed for the America's Cup. It was sail area to displacement. It was rig height. It was length overall. It was length on the water line. It was length of all of these things. They had to add up to 42. And the reason they did 42 was the people that designed the rule thought it was the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
I mean,
and I'm not kidding. I am not kidding.
I believe it. So okay,
I mean, this was fun for billionaires. I mean, literally fun for billionaires.
Okay, so
Jesus Christ.
Then to apply what you just explained about Formula 40, then for the road sport of Formula 1, it's probably the same idea where the specifications of the vehicles have to add up to
that's what
value.
a box rule. Yeah, the same drill. Yeah,
same kind of idea. Okay.
It's like how big's your engine? How big's the what's that? How wide's the vehicle? How long's the vehicle, et cetera, and so forth.
I learned something new today. I've learned like 5 new things, at least. How many new things have I learned?
It's much easier.
25 new things in like the last hour.
One design sailing is much, much easier. One design sailing is, hey, we're building this boat. They're all exactly the same. Go out and sail them.
Yeah.
It's way easier because build the boat this way. Here are the molds, build them out of these molds. Use these materials. They have to weigh this much. And there's variation, but it's like,
How often do those classes evolve though? And like the definitions that count?
Well, the Etchells, which I'm sailing this weekend. The Etchells, I think, was Skip Etchells designed it in, I'm going to say 1972. 72, 73, somewhere in late 60s, early 70s. The J24 was designed, which was designed by Rodney Johnstone, 24 feet long. It was designed in 1977. The Star was designed in 1925. Those boats are still racing. The Lightning was designed earlier, and I can't remember exactly when, but and those boats are still racing. And the Laser. When did the Laser come out? The Laser came out in the early
1960. 70s. The Laser was invented in 1960. We literally looked this up today.
No, really?
Yeah. Oh wait,
it's not the Laser anymore. It's the ILCA. It's the ILCA.
Wow.
It's the ILCA on account of the fact that Bruce Kirby got into a great big patent battle about the whole thing. And
These things happen.
oh,
Yeah, these things happen.
But yeah, it's it's fun, and it's a fun sport. It's fun. It's really it's very techy. It's very but the game, and this is I want to here's the game. All right, the sailing is it does get techy. It is equipment dependent, but here's the game, and I gotta share. I hope this is a good illustration. Gotta check this out. Yeah. On YouTube. All right. We'll see where. Ladder rungs. Yeah, we want ladder rungs. We'll see if this makes any sense. It's always weird. Peter Eisler had a really brief and good synopsis for this, but I don't know if this is going to be too weird. But your screen, ladder rungs, share, play.
This salesing video shows the concept of ladder rungs, using a visual approach to help you understand the race course. This topic may be too basic for some of you, but we have found many experienced sailors have misconceptions, so we hope everyone will learn something from this video. We'll use the concept of ladder rungs to help you think about where to start, who is ahead, which tack is lifted, and positioning for wind shifts. Let's start with a pre-quiz to see how much you know. In this situation, the wind is coming straight down the course and the starting line is perpendicular to the wind direction. Let's assume the wind won't shift. The race committee has placed the windward mark considerably to the left of center, as you can see here. The question is, which boat will sail the shortest distance to the mark? Let's look at the answer. Let's assume the race committee offsets the mark so much that A can sail directly to it without tacking. So A's course would look like this.
I bet.
Let's assume that B sails as far as she can on starboard and then tacks and sails directly to the mark. B's course would look like this. How do these two courses compare in distance? Let's bring them.
See, if I'm looking at a course and I'm seeing that, I am cursing the race committee. I am sitting there going, what the fuck are these people thinking? What are these fucking people thinking? Can they see? Do they have any fucking vision?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I see. You've got.
And I am a certified race officer. It's like if I ever did that, I would be prepared to have my ass reamed out by an entire fleet.
Come together. You can see that the first two parts of the courses are equal down here.
However,
what about the second parts of the course up here?
Not to mention that
If
you've
you
got
look
a
closely
fucking
at
tack.
these two lines, you can see they form part of a triangle with two equal legs. So the second parts of the course are also equal. So the answer to our question is that both A and B sail the same distance to the mark.
But
Of
you've
course,
got to
if the wind is the
tack.
same for both, B will
Yeah.
get there later because she has to tack.
Yeah,
Also,
Thank
even
you.
if they do arrive at the same time, A would have right of way at the mark.
because they
But
would
the
be
point is
inside
that
boat
even with the mark off
and on
center, the
starboard.
distances sailed are the same. Now, what if B can't make up her mind and decides to throw in 2 more tacks? Does
And
this
you're fucked.
increase B's sailing distance? Let's look at B's 1 tack course and 3 tack course together. This is a rectangle right here.
I assume turns are
This
inefficient.
set of segments are equal, and this
Turns
set of segments
lose
are
you
equal.
time.
Yeah.
So again, the distance sailed is not affected.
But you've got
Now
a
let's use the
tack.
concept of ladder rungs to understand
This-
this better.
This is the key.
Picture the course as a set of lines perpendicular to the wind direction. These are called ladder rungs. Sailing upwind is like climbing a ladder. As we saw in the last slide, when sailing close-hauled with no wind shifts and assuming equal pointing ability, all boats sail the same distance between any 2 ladder rungs. If we compare these courses just like before, the distances are equal. For the same reason, where you start or finish on a ladder rung does not affect the distance sailed. This may be hard to believe at first, but it's simply because the boats can't sail directly to the mark, and all the boats sail at the same angles as the other boats going up the course, assuming they're all pointing properly. Now let's check your understanding. Who's ahead in this picture? Using the ladder rungs, we can easily see that boats A and B are even with each other since they are on the same ladder rung.
And you can do this with a hand-bearing compass.
C and D are
You know where
also
the wind is
even with
coming
each
from.
other. And A and B are ahead of C and D.
You can do this with a
Now,
hand-bearing
what
compass.
if we move the mark to the left? Does this change the answer? I hope by now you said no, since the mark is on the same ladder rung as it was before. You can't actually see the ladder rungs on the water, but if you know your boat's upwind sailing angle, you can visualize them with imaginary lines on your boat. For example, in medium wind, most
We
boats
have
sail
those
upwind
lines
at about
on the
45
deck.
degrees from the direction of the wind.
Oh.
Imagine 2 lines, each 45 degrees from the center line of your boat. The 45-degree line to windward shows you the wind direction. The
This is
45-degree
why you can
line
do
to
it.
leeward shows you the direction of the ladder rungs.
This is why you can do this with a
In the
hand-bearing compass.
past, some sailors would actually mark these lines on their boats. They're called tacking lines. If you can
Mhm.
visualize the ladder rungs, you can tell if you're ahead or behind someone, such as in a crossing situation. Who's ahead in this picture? Note that the wind direction is not straight down from the top of the picture. So the question also asks you to figure out the approximate wind direction. To find out who's ahead, we simply extend the ladder rung line from either the red boat or the blue boat. The
What
ladder
about this
rung line
guy?
from the red
We're
boat is ahead
through.
of the blue boat, so red is ahead. To find out the wind direction, we look at the windward 45-degree line on both boats, which both point in the direction of the wind. So the wind is from the upper left. You can also think about ladder rungs to help determine the favored end of the line. In this drawing, which end of the line is favored, and more importantly, how could you tell on the water? As you can see here, the pin end is on a higher ladder rung and therefore is favored. On the water, if you point the boat head to wind in the middle of the line, your bow will point more closely toward the favored end.
That's a good visual, but you
I
can
hope
do it
by
with a
now you
compass
didn't
too.
look at the mark to determine the favored end. Some people tell you to look at the mark to see if you are on the lifted tack. This can be deceiving when you get close to the mark. Which boat is lifted in this picture? Assume the wind was originally straight down the course, but now has shifted. If we look at the imaginary 45-degree lines on our boats, we can see the wind direction.
Lifted means
the wind was originally straight down the page, but has shifted from the center to the left.
He said shifted, not lifted.
Oh,
he said shifted, and I said shifted where, because I didn't know. He said the wind had shifted, and I didn't know where he was saying the wind had shifted.
Because he didn't explicitly state that the wind is we can see the wind is shifted because they're
now there are arrows. He added arrows after I asked the question.
But before the arrows, even if the arrows make it clear, but even if the arrows weren't there, you could tell by looking at the boats. I'm like, hey, wait a second, they're not straight up, because of course the icon on the icon on the pin points in the will point in the direction the wind. Well, technically point the opposite direction, but like
if you average their vectors, is it pointing to the wind?
Yeah.
If you add their vectors or average them, I mean, same thing. It'll point right into the wind, I guess, which makes sense. That looks like a symmetry of the system, which is obvious.
You always want to be tacking it, or at least what it sounds like. You generally will be wanting to tack at 45 degrees.
It's a quantization axis,
or whatever you're tacking through. I mean, you need to figure out what are we tacking through. That's one of the first things you go out and figure out what are we tacking through. We actually have tacking lines that go from the Atchels is a really close-winded boat. It can sail. It'll tack through a lot less than 45 degrees.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I mean, we have it'll tack through a lot less than 90 degrees. Let's put it that way. So we have lines of from 70 to I think actually 68 to about 80, something like that.
Okay.
So you can, if you're looking to see, are we laying the mark? You just cite that line, and if the line is pointing at the mark, hey, we've got the mark. And you can, we do have those drawn on the boat. I'm pretty good at figuring out ley lines just visually, but it is extremely helpful to have those things on the deck. It's like, geez, I'm sorry, we overstood. It's like, and you don't want to overstand. You want to be right on the fucking thing.
Blue is on port tack, so blue is lifted. Red is on starboard and is sailing a header.
But
Red looks like she is pointing closer to the mark, but wind direction and not mark placement determines the lifted tack. Now, you may not always want to sail the lifted tack when you're near the mark, but you should at least be able to tell whether you are lifted or not, and not get deceived by just looking at the mark. Ladder rungs make it easy to understand how a wind shift makes you either gain or lose boats. With the wind straight down the course, A and B are currently even. If the wind shifts to the right, which boat will be ahead? To figure out which boat would gain, did you think it matters which tack they are on? Or does it matter where they are on the course? Let's look at the answer using the ladder rungs. If the wind shifts to the right, the ladder rungs will shift with it, since the ladder rungs are always perpendicular to the wind. After the wind shift, which boat is on the ladder rung closest to the mark?
Oh, okay.
The answer is B, since B is now more than one ladder rung higher than A, as you see here. It doesn't matter where the mark is unless one of the boats sails past the ley line. This shows us that boats closer to the shift will gain, so we always try to sail toward the next shift unless there is way more wind somewhere else. Let's take this further to understand who gains and loses most in a wind shift. This should be easy after the last slide. In this situation, if the wind shifts to the right, which boat will gain the most? Look at what happens after the wind shifts. A has gained a full ladder rung, B has gained half of a rung, C has stayed on the same rung, and D has gone backward one rung or more. So the key message is the boats closest to the shift gain the most, the boat furthest from the shift loses the most, and boats in the middle minimize gains and losses. This is a good thing to remember when you're deciding how to position yourself during a race and how much risk to take. I'm going to leave you with some unanswered questions to allow you to apply your knowledge. Each of these questions can be answered by thinking about ladder rungs. Discuss these with your friends, and if you can't figure it out, go to SalesIng to look for answers. Why is getting to the ley line too early a bad idea? Next question.
Overshooting?
How do I determine the favored end of the finish line?
You're gonna get
Last question.
hammered on every single
Downwind,
time.
should I sail toward the next shift or away from the next shift? Let's summarize. We have learned that it's the wind direction and the ladder rungs concept, not the location of the marks, that help you understand the course. You can use wind direction and ladder rungs to find the favorite end of the line, determine if you are ahead or behind, determine if you are on the lifted tack, position yourself to the next shift by sailing toward the shift, and understand that you lose or gain a lot of boats by being the furthest boat to one side. Finally, a caution. This video focuses strictly on wind direction. We haven't said anything about boat speed and strategy. Don't get so wrapped up in ladder rungs that you forget to get a good start, sail fast, sail the lifted tack, and sail in more wind. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Visit us at salesing.com for more.
That was thorough and comprehensive. And I haven't sailed the lifted tack, but I live the lifted life. So
yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much to it, and
yeah,
a lot of it. Yeah, a lot of it becomes, being able to see the shift on the water.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to be like,
being able to see pressure, being able to see current, being able to see, where are we vis-a-vis? What about those evildoers? What about these bastards over here? What about these motherfuckers who are, when we're coming into a close course, is this person gonna tack on our lee bow and cause us to go backwards? It's like all of these things are just this dynamic that goes on, and the positioning thing is like, should we go now? Should we, you can see puffs on the water. You can see current lines on the water. You can see all of these things. It takes a long time to be able to hone those skills. And then there's the boat on boat stuff, because there are right-of-way rules that, somebody on port tack is a give-way boat and somebody on starboard tack is the right-of-way boat. And so there's the how do the rules operate when you get into, if you're coming in on the port tack ley line, you're the burdened boat. So all of the people on the starboard tack ley line have right-of-way. So you need to be able to figure out, how are we gonna handle this situation? How are we gonna get through this mess? And it's a complicated game. It is playing chess on a board that is constantly shifting.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That just makes you've gotten me so interested in this. I'm never going to sail, but I'm definitely going to appreciate it more if I ever once I start watching it.
I mean, you can see, if you watch, I mean, watching sailboat racing is incredibly dull unless you know what's going on. But you can see,
Well,
you can,
now I can-
you can,
yeah.
you can see the stuff, and it's a fascinating game. It really
Are
is
there
a fascinating
commentators?
game to play. I think, watching the last intercollegiate nationals would be something to watch. It was at Kings Point, and it was great. Like, again,
the one that Stanford won?
Yeah.
Yeah, woo! Go Stanford! Woo!
Go Stanford and go Stanford women. The both the A fleet and the B fleet were both 2 women sailing. They won by a lot. It was so cool. It was so cool. And that's to me, that's why that's over the course of 30 years, that's a huge shift. Huge shift in terms of gender equity and in terms of people getting involved. And this is, that's another little subtle detail about the whole nature of sport that people who haven't been involved in it just don't know, that don't appreciate it. Because in sailing, women and men are very, very equal, given equal equipment that aren't overly challenging. It's very equipment dependent,
Yeah.
But collegiate 420s, fuck, sail it fucking things. Anybody can sail those things. You and I can sail those things, although I'm too heavy. I'm not a collegiate sailor anymore, and yeah. But the collegiate nationals they were great to watch. I watched them while I was working when they were going on, and it was very interesting because Kings Point's an interesting place to sail, and current was a big part of the situation. Wind was a big part of the situation, and Stanford just crushed it. They just crushed it. Anyway, so thanks everybody for coming and maybe learn a little bit about sailboat racing. It was fun. It's getting late.
Oh, yeah, this is absolutely delightful. I'm so happy you had me here. Gosh, I can't speak sometimes. I stammer a lot at certain
That's
times.
okay.
I always stop by because I see Stephanie out here on the lake, and I'm like, I just got to make sure she doesn't need somebody to call the Coast Guard to come help her out.
No, that's the Western way. That's the Atlantic.
I'm polite,
Mm-hmm.
Gotta make sure the woman has somebody looking out for her. Oh my god!
What was that? What suddenly cracked you up? Did you start reading chat or something?
No, just what I said with those.
Oh, you're just laughing at what the fuck did I just say kind of moment.
Exactly. I was.
I'm out of the room, but I'm listening.
Sometimes I sit there and I'm just like, well, that just has to stew there for a moment, and then I'm like, no, I can't deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
Why did I go that route?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've said way more than my fair share of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
As a pun lover, I mean that alone is enough to explain why I've said a lot of stupid stuff. Because sometimes I try to force it. Sometimes they'll come out with some really nice, really good stuff, and people are like, oh wow, and then other times it'd be like.
I'm
I'll
always
repeat it, and they're like, Sabrina, we get it. It's just stupid.
Yeah, no, I get that a lot. Mostly from Maya.
Mostly from
Maya.
Oh, Maya. Okay.
Yeah, Maya. Maya's like, weasel. We get it. I learn a lot from Maya. It's very helpful.
Our I learned earlier this evening that our Etrels team is like we've got 6 pounds to give away. I can't gain weight. I it's like Andrew's like, you've got to weigh 181. You can't weigh any more than we're 6 pounds if you weigh 181, which means we're over if I weigh any more than 181 because I don't believe anybody else. At the moment, bare naked, and you don't weigh in bare naked. In the Etzel's class, it's in the J24 class, it's in swimwear, so you can literally drop, get down to your underwear to weigh in. It's really quite embarrassing. The Etzel's class is far more civilized, so you've got to be actually clothed. And so, yeah, it's another don't eat anything. But I should be okay. So I was 176 this morning. I think I'll be fine. I'd like to be 170 at some point in time. That'd be nice.
Well, how many kidneys do you need?
Well, I'm not gonna.
God damn it!
Oh, this guy I used to sail with a lot. It's Tommy Brown. He's and he was a coach at Maine Maritime and for a while, but he runs the hardware, runs FT Brown Company, so family hardware store up there in Mount Desert Island, up Northeast Harbor. And Jesus Crow, if he would, when he was a young fella, he had that cancer. He had that cancer in one of his legs, and bone cancer, and had one of his legs. I can't remember exactly which one. I believe it was his left leg, amputated below the knee. And so when he would go to weigh in, it's like with or without the leg. The other cool thing about Tommy was that he used to drink a lot. He quit drinking, which is great. It really was because he used to enjoy it altogether too much. But he had back in his drinking days, he had a bottle opener installed on his leg. Which was,
God damn it!
I mean, that's just common sense, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah,
and they were high tech, very high tech. He played basketball real well. He's a guy that's from.
Yeah, but also that doesn't need to be high tech. That can also, you can also do that as long as like 2 of the struts are like the right distance apart. You can just jam it in there and go.
Oh yeah, like you can, but what I'm gathering is he had an edge explicitly added to make that process easier, which I adore.
Like just cut a groove in there with a little lip on it. Oh yeah.
Yep, that's all you need. Yeah, and now I'm just thinking like, oh gosh, if I ever lost a limb and got a prosthetic, what random doodad should I install?
Oh yeah, no, I've thought about this before.
I've never considered it because I've never even considered the idea of adding random shit to
you'd get that, you'd get a hook because I mean there's a reason there's a hook. Like hooks apparently are handy. And no, I'd totally get a bottle opener.
I think they're quite antithetical to being handy because like if you had a hook, you don't have a hand anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but how dare you? How dare you?
Not handy.
How dare you sway my completely in good faith explanation of their handy? Damn it! Their handiness. I was going to say. I don't know what to say. Utility. Anyway.
Okay, now I'm
Enter-
sorry.
Enter says you navigate your sailing based on ley lines. A ley line is it's not
National
LEY. It's LAY, and it's when you can lay the mark. It's when you can tack and round the mark. It's laying the mark. So a ley line is the lines on which, either on port or on starboard, you can round the mark on the proper side. And that's what it is in sailboat racing. It is also what it is in navigating. All of these things, with the exception of the racing rules of sailing, all of these things are applicable towards charting a voyage. Whether you're, if you're delivering a boat, you're still doing the same kinds of things. You're still navigating. You don't want to be at sea forever. You don't, that's why people say it doesn't matter. You're always racing. So if you want to be able to, you want to be able to go efficiently. You don't necessarily have to push as hard.
Here we have Stephanie going on again, acting as though the ocean is a real place that actually exists. Silly.
You'd be surprised how real it is. I mean, it's incredibly real when it threatens to kill you. It's not.
I mean, I've had quite a few fake things threaten to kill me.
Stephanie here is just a paid shill for NASA is what's going on here.
God damn it, Tony.
Well, are you trying to tell me the firmament is real?
Are you trying to tell me it's not? You satanic heathen?
No. I mean, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. You do say magnets aren't real.
I don't know. It's weasels are real. Are weasels real? Maybe they are. I don't know. This has been a real yachting evening here on this channel.
I do. Yes. I gotta go though.
Yeah, I think we all do. It's getting on. It's like almost 2:00. Well, 20 minutes to 2 here.
Yeah, I'm in the same time zone as you, so yep.
Yeah. So what? Thanks everybody for coming. For those of you who are still here that are, I don't have my YouTube shit open, so I don't know what's going on. But everybody who came, I really appreciate it. Thanks, Dr. Tapioca Weasel, for being a huge supporter of the channel, and everybody else who comes by here from time to time. Sabrina, it's great to see you out and about again.
I'll try to come out more. It's still hard, but I will try to come out more.
And tighten your anus. Just go ahead and do it. And buckle it up, because buckle it up and stay tuned for maybe I'll be able to squeeze in some scenes from the Etchells New England Championships. I may be able to pull out a few things here and there. I'm sailing with a really great team. I'm sailing with my dear friend, Dr. Andrew Carey, and Mr. James Barnosh, from the Rochester Yacht Club, and Ms. Monica Morgan, out of Florida and Vermont, nominee for Rolex Yachtswoman of the Year last year. She's really great. We've got a good team, and hopefully we'll do okay down in Marblehead, which is a crazy place for current, and it's Massachusetts Bay, so there are swells, and it's not something that we do here much in Casco Bay, which is lighter, smooth water. But Marblehead is also known as Marble Dead, which means the breeze isn't altogether reliable. I haven't really looked at what the forecast is, but I don't think it might be breezy Saturday, but probably not so much Sunday. I don't know. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is sailing, and put the boat in the water on Friday. And we'll see. But thanks everybody for coming. I really appreciate all you guys, and just hanging out is a lot of fun. Good night. I'm gonna kill it now.